Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to have Brandi today on our show. Brandi is from Canada. We want to hear from her. Who is Brandi joining us today?
Hi, thank you, Suzanne, so much for having me. My name is Brandi Heather. I am a wonderfully simple person. I spent 20 years teaching in the college system, trying to help students figure out how to find ways to make their practice in physical activity and physical education more accessible, and working with kids with disabilities and older adults, looking at how we could change the system so that everyone could be physically active and move. From there, what I found out was probably my most effective skill was teaching people to play and find things that made them feel playful again, actually really motivated them not only as post-secondary students to learn, but also as people who want to be movers. That is where I come from. I come from a place where I really fundamentally believe that if we can be more playful, we will be more resilient. We will actually face challenges and do things differently.
That's really beautiful. So I know on your LinkedIn profile, it says social change in education, health, and business through play. We talk many times about business. Playing gets lost a little bit. I would like to know, when you were a young girl, were you always focusing or figuring out that you would be somebody who motivates other people to play a little more?
It's funny, I grew up in a house, my dad was an artist, and grew up in a very playful house. I had art supplies forever, but then I also learned how to make everything into art supplies. So I spent a lot of my childhood building and creating and painting and making a lot of mess, and I was allowed to do that. And I think that part of that has become certainly the focus of what I do, which is finding that kind of making something out of nothing. We were always building. We were always finding different ways to do things. And yeah, we had huge amounts of mess and failure. So I kind of surrounded myself with that. As you go forward, you realize, whoa, we really lose that. We really lose that ability to be playful. So my hope is that if you can reignite what that felt like when you did that part of that actually becomes part of your performance moving forward. Because we could capture that, if we could bottle it, see kids in the grocery store and we're like, oh, if I could just bottle that energy and how much fun they're having hiding in the aisle, if I could bottle that, it's a performance enhancement. But we lose it. We lose it because we fear judgment and social change and all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very nice picture when we can bottle this to be like a child again. And I know that children ask 100 questions and we as adults ask sometimes only 2 questions. I'm wondering, where came pivotal moments in your life when you knew to change your career like into that more playfulness? I know you have been a teacher, but what is kind of like the development and the evolution of your teaching career that then led into the career that you have now?
It's an interesting question. I've probably had a couple of really key playful moments where aha moments and realized, holy, this really does make a difference. And one of them was, for a long time, I ran a nonprofit organization just off the side of my desk where we were inviting families and kids who were experiencing disability and maybe even had undiagnosed disability and very complex disability all in the same space. And we were really just learning how to do some fundamental movement skills and connection. And over time, what it became was when families realized that this space was a place that they could actually come and feel like they were more capable. So parents felt more capable. And then kids would reflect that. They would feel more playful playful, more engaged, and more able. And one of the parents said to me one day, you don't understand. This is just a free program that you think people just drop into, but you give us a space where for the first time in some of our days, we come back to the joy of parenting, the joy of watching our kids do something without that shame and judgment that comes from every time we seem to walk out of this space. People see us differently and see our kids differently. It really struck me. It was a conversation that changed me. I realized, wow, what we're actually finding here is not about physical literacy and movement. What we're finding here is connection and belonging. People are finding their joy again, and I don't think you can buy that.
Wow, this is so beautiful. I hear like it's also about acceptance, and maybe for those parents it's also letting go when they see the children play, and they can maybe become better parents through the activities that you were providing.
Yeah.
Also empowering. When you look at the word disability, there is ability in it. Just take that DIS away. They have other abilities that we don't have.
And I really do believe it. Like, it's a line. When you see someone in play, when they're really immersed in play, and it doesn't matter if you're 0 or 105, when you see someone be playful, you will see their greatest strengths. You will see how resilient, how inventive, how creative. We see it all the time in my work. People will stand on the outside and watch people in play, and they'll say, I had no idea they were that. And you can fill in the blank: inventive, able, connected, personable, all of those things.
And it's the psychologist Csikszentmihalyi talks about flow. When we are in flow, we don't think. It just comes natural. When we are playing, we don't think. It's almost as we take on another persona.
Flow and play, very integrated, very similar processes. An athlete in flow can also be an athlete in play, and a business person who gets on a roll and feels that, oh my goodness, I just did that or presented that feeling, that euphoria, that also is a play moment. And we're so scared, I think, in the adult world to say, wow, that was really playful for me. I enjoyed that so much. It was like playing when I was a kid. So scared that someone will connect that with that was unproductive, or it was silly, or whatever. I mean, we have lots of social attachment to play that we don't attach to children, but we do it whatever that age is.
It's a judgment.
It's a judgment. And we're so happy to call it other things. But if you really capture it and you really feel it, it's actually exactly what you felt the first time you jumped off a swing. 2 years ago, I was able to a keynote address for girls who were in grade 5. I think there was 700 kiddos in grade 5, and all girls. And one of them happened to be my daughter at the time. So it was really special for me. One of the things that we know is that there's some pretty key moments in when girls especially stop moving and playing sport and doing recreation and seeing their bodies differently, seeing their capability differently, how they socially interact. One of those guideposts is grade 5. My goals is to be able to tell young girls, you don't have to wear this. You don't have to be the shape everybody else is. It's one of the processes we use in our programming. Moving and playing and physical activity, being yourself, choosing something versus doing it because someone else is doing it is really key to doing it for a long time and not for a little bit of time. So Play Brave to me was about physical and social connection. If you love dance, you're now 11 years old or you're 10 years old, and there's no dance programs because everybody's taken dance since they were 3, can't find a class, but you still love to dance. If you love soccer, but nobody you know likes soccer, none of your friends are playing, you need to play brave. Ask questions and find spaces where there is that point where girls especially make choices based on what other people want and not what they want. It is hugely brave to do something that other people don't expect you to do. Nobody else does.
It's about raising, empowering their self-esteem. And grade 5, they forget they are allowed to ask 100 questions, do what they love.
Yeah.
And I also think these days, obviously we have more like people in schools who are empowering people what to do. My mom always says, you should have been a swimmer. I'm like, yeah, nobody invited me. Had I had you or listened to your speech, I might have been or become a swimmer. I learned it later on, but that's okay. I think
that's a hugely Play Brave move, because we have pretty set expectations of what we're going to do after we're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50.
I think so. And it sounds like Brené Brown, brave.
Yeah.
We don't need to be the same as others.
So hard. And especially in a world we're surrounded by social media that really funnels us into this, what we're supposed to look like. And we talk a lot in Play Brave about filters. We can spend our whole day putting on filters. I can look like $1,000,000. I can look fitter and taller and all those things. I can filter all of the things I don't want to see. You'll never really get into play because play is authentic. If we can post our life in its natural state versus we're going to add cat ears, tails to everything and starlight and makeup. But what if we stopped taking off those, started having an unfiltered conversations and unfiltered play? People would know more authentically who we really were.
But we can't filter our emotions. I'm curious to find out. I know something special is happening on October 30th. We Play Chat. How is that going to happen and who will be there? Tell us.
The drive of the U.S. Play Coalition is really to ignite how play is making change in all sorts of spaces around the world. And one of the things that they do every month is they invite experts in play, come on to a Twitter show, and we come on to the Twitter, ask questions. So we kind of build connection through Twitter. My We Play Chat will be about how we're using play to increase connection in diversity and inclusion. Those are two kind of key areas that I work in. Yeah. People often say to me, how play relates to diversity? How do we use it to include more people? And so the chat is really about telling people that play is actually one of the most universal languages there is, that it actually has no boundaries in terms of where it can be done and how it can be done. And it doesn't need connected language. It doesn't need any of those things. It's actually a very diverse concept, but how we use it is really the key. And so this chat, I want people to ask questions. I want them to ask questions about inclusion in classrooms, for example, and how play is changing the face of how teachers can include more kids, not just kids with disabilities, because oftentimes culture and diverse ability and diverse understandings and beliefs and wonderful aspects of diversity. And actually, if we go higher than that, play is way up here. So that the chat is really about asking questions about play and process, about diversity and inclusion training that we do for high profile businesses, that actually high level businesses into play to find out where they need to go in process.
And the handle is We Play Chat. This is the whole day then, or is there a specific time when you start?
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Using that hashtag, you'll see the whole conversations.
So we want to chime in October 30th. We Play Chat. We will certainly have that in the show notes. I wish you wonderful success to see what's happening. Excellent. And as the Iron Woman, I'm certainly always interested in moving. And actually, I'm standing here because you empowered me. I was like, we do a show. I also need to be active. So thank you so much, Brandi, and hopefully we can hear from you more, and good luck with everything and the great work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Suzanne.
Wow, wasn't that the coolest episode so far? Until next time, take it from the Iron Woman. See you soon.